Afternoon, as we roll toward 4:30, the news continues. Today's Microsoft outage had a global impact, impacting businesses and individuals, including many in Kentucky. And now people are curious about the cause of the major disruption.
WKYT's Carly Hogston spoke with a cybersecurity expert to explain how the outage occurred. It's our top story at 4:30.
When people around the world arrived at work today, they were greeted by a dreaded blue screen on their computers and found themselves cut off from the internet. But how did this happen?
Think of it like, I have my iPhone. I use it every single day. And let's say that there's an additional security piece on there to make sure that I don't visit a phishing site. If a system has that type of interconnected capability, it's also going to have the type of interconnected capability to negatively impact your systems.
Alex Risen with the cybersecurity firm Phishing Box says it started with a company called CrowdStrike that tried to apply an update to keep users safe from cyber attacks. But this one backfired because it wasn't fully ready, causing more problems than it solved.
We would always preach, you need to make sure you have the most up-to-date version of your software. This perhaps is a really good example of not wanting an automatic update to be installed.
But don't worry, Microsoft and CrowdStrike have eliminated most of the problem, and you're still protected from cyber threats. Risen says that this outage shows how much our society relies on technology.
When we are this dependent on technology, anytime that we have software updates, anytime that we have an opportunity for error, it can certainly occur.
And for the people that are still receiving that blue screen of death, there is a way to get rid of it.
For folks that are still looking for support, contact CrowdStrike support to make sure that your systems, can be up and running as fast as possible.
In Lexington, Carly Hogston, WKYT.